The background NPC is back and she says it's all our fault. Oh, we know.
Do you ever tell yourself something you really want to be true? Like, I am sticking with the workout this time. I am finishing this game before I start another one. I am going to put out a video every single week. Well, the people making our games have gotten really good at it too. Like Insomniac saying internet memes and criticism surrounding Wolverine have been a relentless onslaught. Bethesda protesters saying Bethesda makes great games people love, or laid off Halo devs stating Halo Campaign Evolved had a successful launch. If the last decade has taught us...
I'm sorry, all those three statements are just asinine statements. Just the most bizarre world ever. Oh my gosh. Okay, I see exactly where she's going with this.
Anything, it is that there is an increasingly bizarre disconnect between so many of these AAA studios and the people buying their games, between executives and their own studios, between journalists and players, between what the industry says is true and what is very obviously actual reality.
Yes.
Because while we are getting LinkedIn post after LinkedIn post about layoffs, even from people who just shipped a self-proclaimed successful game, I'm also watching players post celebrations about those same layoffs, some of them with millions of views. Gamers have spent years feeling like they were yelling at a wall, watching their hobby get more expensive in every way, watching their favorite franchises get worse, watching quality continue to drop, while everyone inside these companies kept insisting things were going great. And at the same time, Western AAA has spent years getting insulated from reality, from its customers, from any real criticism, and eventually from its own failures. And while...
yes, the toxic positivity. See, this is why Side Scrollers works. This is why our show is successful, because we represent the people who play the games, and they don't want to listen to what we have to say. We've said this many I've said this, I don't even know how many times. I should start a consultancy agency, go into these developer studios, say, hey, listen, I think this is what we should do. And it'd be the exact opposite of Sweet Baby Inc. It's like very simple. Just include attractive people, right? Make the games fun and don't overthink it, right? That's like the entire premise of the consultancy agency. But it would be shunned. And it's amazing to see how much developers, companies, the disconnect between the two. It's something that I've had to, the realization over the last 3 years of Side Scrollers, that it's so broad, so unbelievably broad.
2026 may be the year of the horse for China. It is the year of the chud for gamers, and more importantly, it is the year the market has finally stopped letting everybody play pretend. But before we get into all of that, it is really great to be back. I hope you've been having a great summer. I know I disappeared again. I am so sorry. There were some side quests I had to go take care of, and as penance, please accept this picture of my dogs. But a lot has happened over the past month, so let's do a super quick catch-up first. GTA 6 is coming to Netflix. The extended preview of the game, that is. I'll be honest, I didn't even realize we could reach this level of advertising, and it means that there are people out there right now paying for a subscription specifically to watch a GTA 6 ad.
Quick side note, the GTA 6 leaks are happening, and we're talking about that today on our show. If you haven't yet, we're going to go into full depth on that, but that is some spicy, that's a spicy meatball.
Yeah, well... But we also got more info on Kingdom Hearts 4, including its launch window of late 2027. I'm pretty excited for this, I won't lie. I had a lot of the Kingdom Hearts games on my old PlayStation consoles, but I have since sold them all. So I did the only reasonable thing, and I just bought the main trilogy on Steam, which is only like $30 for all three right now. I'm actually pretty excited to play all of them again, including Kingdom Hearts 3, which, you know what they say, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest warriors. Swords and Slippers and Knight's Path are back on my timeline, with one of the female characters being described as porny. And if you guessed it was the fully clothed medieval maiden with a little bit of cleavage standing there with her cat, you would be correct. Now, I don't think either of these characters could be described as porny, whatever that means, but these devs do know exactly who they are building for, and they are not interested in being bullied into building for anything else. The war on pretty female characters rages on, so thank you to the devs fighting the good fight. Speaking of which, we got more time.
This is why the background NPC works here, because she is, like, you look at her on screen right now, she is just a cute lady. She has a wonderful smile, and she represents the chuds, right? She's saying these things. So like when people like the word chud is thrown around, this idea of like, you got this dude who's, whatever you think the chud idea is. She's the exact opposite. She is the worst enemy of the game developer who's like, the chud, the video game media who's like, the chud. There's your chud. There she is right there. There she is.
Sides of Annihilation. The combat in this game continues to look really fun. Gwendolyn is looking a little bit different this time around, but still absolutely stunning. And now there is some speculation that Angela Sandobuono may be stepping in for Jennifer English as her new voice actress, which, if that ends up being true, that'll do, pig. That'll do. Unfortunately, not every upcoming game has been having quite the same effect, which brings us to Wolverine. So for weeks now, we've been getting more and more Wolverine content as the game gets closer to release, and I'll be honest, this was never really a game for me. All right, and the more that I've seen of it, the less interested I have become. It appears some of the internet may feel that way too now, and Insomniac has gone on the record about it. Their community and marketing director posted this, saying, "I think the wild way this algorithm amplifies and forces negativity upon you has me reconsidering my philosophy of telling devs to look or post here. It is a relentless onslaught that I cannot believe is good for anyone's mental health, nor representative."
I'll say this. Long time ago, back at Screw Attack, whenever I would hire somebody and they would appear on camera for the first time, I would say, do not look at any comments for 2 weeks, because it's going to take time for people to kind of get used to you being on camera and getting to know you. And that was kind of a steadfast rule I had, especially for newbies. That is the case for video game developers. Put your head down. Put your head down. Don't worry about social media. Don't worry about what's being said. You just do your job. And because all the meanie people online, the meanie people.
A relentless onslaught. It's a really intense word to use, so I went and looked for this onslaught, braced myself a little, and it's Ben 10. People are making jokes about this game, reminding them of Ben 10, and that a chase sequence leaves a little red streak behind Sabretooth when he runs, so the modern audience doesn't get lost, and overall just a fair amount of memes about how they don't think this game looks very good. And then the rest of it, the part that isn't memes, is just people having opinions about the game itself. Really unappealing character designs, which Insomniac seems to take genuine pride in, the cheesy dialogue, the fact that what has been shown off looks like the same generic Sony movie game formula that we've been handed for the better part of a decade, gameplay and boss fights that have been done for years, and of course, Sweet Baby Ink being involved, which at this point, most people can probably spot from space. None of that is an onslaught. That is just a reaction to marketing for a product you were getting ready to release to the public. But like clockwork, the journalists have shown up to defend the game from the evil chud discourse, claiming that this game is yet another victim of the internet's endless gaming negativity.
Isn't that amazing? Like, they just immediately show up. Hey, you chuds. You stop that. You evil, mean chud guys. And to go back to that, this idea that any sort of criticism, any sort of memes, the idea of just having regular discourse about the game, I don't really know how I feel about this game. This game looks an awful lot like the 2009 Wolverine. I don't know if this is really worth it. You know, this is it's been 17 years since we've seen a Wolverine game. And by the way, that 2009 game was pretty fun. You know, I could put a guy's head in a helicopter and it would fly off. Just trust me, it's pretty awesome. I don't think that's an onslaught. You know, that's all I've seen is memes and discourse, and that's seen as negativity here. That's the issue.
A victim. A $70 game with a multi-million-dollar budget backed by Sony is a victim because people looked at what has been shown off and they have not been impressed. That is the framing that we are now going with, not, hey, I don't know, here's why we think you'll love this game. No, the game is a victim, and you're kind of a jerk actually if you're not gushing with excitement, ready to hand over your hard-earned cash. What's even crazier though is that this is Wolverine, one of the most beloved characters in comics, and getting the opportunity to work on a Marvel game like this should be a massive privilege. You have the opportunity to work with one of the most recognizable characters on the entire planet, 50-something years of comics, the movies, the cartoons, whole generations of people who have grown up with this character. But just like with Spider-Man, if you do him a disservice, of course, people are going to notice. If he suspiciously looks like a kinder version of that kid from Jumanji for some reason, people are going to notice. But even with that being said,
She nails this here. Like the idea of you are putting yourself under a microscope. When you say, "Hey, I want to work on Spider-Man, I want to work on Batman, I want to work on Wolverine," you're going to get all of the eyes on you, and people expect greatness out of it because those are great characters. If you're working on like generic superhero 15, like if you're doing a Blue Beetle game, people are going to be like, "Wow, that game looks like trash." Fucking Blue Beetle.
The bar for this game was never to go do something impossible. If Insomniac just had their head on straight, the bar was supposed to be go do the thing you already know how to do. I really loved the 2018 Spider-Man, and I thought they did a great job with that game, but they have just not been able to get back there. Either way, gamers are not here to protect a studio's feelings.
Nope.
We are the customer, and it is their job to sell us the game. People making jokes and criticizing creative decisions is not harassment. And what is so funny to me is how fast the blame comes and how familiar it all feels every single time. We saw it with Assassin's Creed Shadows, which said it was a battle that they fought and won. There was the Highguard dev who deleted his statements and his account twice. And now it is Insomniac with Wolverine. It is the same with 3 steps every single time. The game gets shown off, or in Highguard's case, gets blasted to the heavens by Jeff Keighley. People say what they think about it, sometimes very bluntly because it is the internet. And then instead of anybody in the studio going, huh, that is an awful lot of people saying the same specific thing, the response that comes back is that the audience is the worst. The audience is attacking us, the gamers are bullies, it is all a coordinated attack, and they are always the victims, which...
To be clear, I've never been a part of any coordination ever when it comes to thoughts and feelings online, when it comes to discourse around any sort of product, games or whatever. I have never seen a coordinated attack in my life. I've never seen people get together and say, hey, I really want to go after Wolverine. Hey, we really want to go after Highguard. It's just people noticing things about the game. And guess what? They all notice it at the exact same time. That's it. There is zero coordination. Listen, we are not that smart. Right? I'm just saying that right now. We are not that organized. I'm just letting you know, all you game devs out there, people notice it and have a little introspective here, a little look into yourself instead of going back and being like, hey, not us. Everybody else is wrong. All the discourse online is wrong. It's definitely not us. Okay, Principal Skinner.
If we just look at the balance of power in this specific situation, on one side you have got Sony, a billion-dollar publishing arm, 50 years of Marvel, and the games press writing your defense before the game is even out. On the other side, a guy who made a Ben 10 joke.
Yep.
But yes, it is gamers that are the Avengers level threat. But speaking of assembling, let's talk about Halo and how somehow they managed to make every possible mistake a Western AAA studio could make. Now, I was never a huge Halo person. I knew what it was, obviously, but it was never my thing. It was my older brother's thing, and it was my husband's thing before I ever knew him. The whole LAN party era, I was a bit too young and much more interested in playing Zelda to care about any of that. But Halo is one of the most recognizable IPs in all of gaming. I would honestly argue it is Star Wars tier, and even if you've never played it, it is the game that your friend's older brother had, and it is the reason an entire generation of people know what a warthog is. So,
I will say this. I think that Halo hasn't necessarily been relevant in a decade. And that's tough for a lot of people to see because if you look at the sales of the game, it's definitely reflected that. Look, 2000s into the release of Halo 3, spectacular. A lot of people excited for Reach. 4 was like, all right, we'll give it a go because Halo 1, 2, and 3 were spectacular. But I always go back to, and I know I'm not alone on this, the slogan of Halo 3 was finish the fight. They finished the fight. So why bring it back? And actually, I saw a developer online today who was talking about someone who worked on Halo. He's like, there's a reason why I left after Halo 3 because I thought, we're done. We're done. We've completed the story. We did everything we need to do. But you know what? They had turned it into a flagship franchise. Could you imagine what would happen if after Halo 3, they were like, okay, we're done. We're done. It would be legendary. Now, it would have certainly seen a reboot or here or there because, you know, whoever buys that would have gone in, Microsoft would have gone and be like, we got to have more. We got to have more Halo. And we would have seen a reboot attempt here and there. But yeah, man, if they just would have stopped, sometimes you just got to stop. Just let it be.
Watching what has happened to it after all these years is genuinely very sad to see. Halo Studios, which was 343 Industries for most of this, has been making Halo for almost 19 years. Almost 2 decades of one studio basically doing one thing, which is what makes the reporting on Campaign Evolved so hard for me to wrap my head around. An article came out recently detailing an allegedly pretty rough development cycle, things like not even realizing that assets would clearly need to be rebuilt for this remake, building in abstraction for technical work and level design across the campaign, which then reportedly fell apart. And again, this is a game that has been around for 25 years, and the studio that has spent 19 years doing nothing but trying to make Halo good again, and failing, hired another studio to design Halo levels. And underneath all of it, the studio head reportedly promoted people into leadership roles they were not even equipped for, leading to even more awful mismanagement. And then what happened when the game came out and actually reached players? Low numbers across Steam and PlayStation, mixed Steam reviews sitting in the low 60s, a 5.2 user score, the lowest launch player count in the series history, and complaints about basically everything. The new missions, the cringy dialogue, the insufferable masculine girl boss, the account requirements, the enemy AI, bugs, no multiplayer, even the AI angel herself, Cortana. They germ at her. It is like somebody printed out the entire list of things that you are not supposed to do to a beloved franchise or, just to a game in general, and then ran it start to finish without skipping a single one. And
Would you like to know why they did that? Because while the studio is making the game, the people who made the original Halo franchise are not making this Halo. That is why. It is not the studio, it is the people. And those people are long gone. And we saw a thread, speaking of threads on X, we saw a thread from Niles, who used to work on X, a super viral post talking about how the reason why Halo will never be the same again. It will never reach the apex that it once did, because people say, well, let's get the band back together, get the old guys get back together. But people change, objectives change, passions change. It's never going to be what it was. So just admire it for what it was with Halo 1, 2, 3, Reach, maybe 4, and enjoy it. There's no need to bring it back. There's no reason. So just think about all the good times you had with it originally, all the multiplayer games you had on Halo 2, 3, whatever, how many kills you had, your KD ratio back then. Think about those things. We don't need the reboot because it's not made by the same people, and they're not ever going to come back.
Parts that Halo Studios actually added themselves, the pieces that were uniquely theirs, the new missions, ended up being some of the most criticized things in the whole release.
You think?
What is so crazy to me is that this should have been the safest assignment imaginable.
Oh,
the
yeah.
story already exists, the characters already exist, the levels exist, the game already worked and was extremely beloved by an enormous amount of people. You are remaking Halo, and it still turned into a case study of mismanagement, creative disconnect, lack of skill, followed a week or two after launch by layoffs, which we didn't even find out about through corporate announcement, by the way. We found out because people started posting it on LinkedIn. One of the devs wrote that after 6.5 years on Halo and dodging just as many rounds of layoffs, it had finally caught up with him. Another dev wrote that his time there ended following the successful launch of the latest game. Successful. Right. And while it is hard to grasp, I do think that there is a real chance that these people believe the things that they are saying. Probably because this is the language that was being used around them the entire time. That is the only feedback they got. That is what was shared in the company meetings. That was what everybody in the building had already agreed upon that the launch would look like. But if your definition of success can include the lowest launch player count in Halo history, a 5.2 user score at best, mixed reviews, and layoffs 2 weeks later, I don't know what to say. I did not have high expectations for Ubisoft's Black Flag remake, and even they still ended up performing so much better than this game. And a not so fun fact to close this section out, both studios that have ever touched this franchise, Bungie and Halo Studios, had layoffs 6 weeks apart, all during Halo's 25th anniversary year, which is a pretty bleak way to celebrate a legacy. And speaking of bleak celebrations, let's go to a parking lot in Rockville, Maryland.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to link to the rest of this video down below because I think you guys need to watch it. This is about the 11:55 mark for the background NPC. Let me kind of put my thoughts on the Halo stuff. And this is going to deal with this story as well. So we talked about this story in particular on our show many times. This is amazing to see. This always comes back to toxic positivity. People talk about the negativity, and that's where you see these developers, all the chuds online, those negativity. No. toxic positivity in the workspace, constantly in your bubble, telling you how great things are. There's no way this is going to fail. Like, this is what we saw with Concord. I keep going back to Concord. I got Concord sitting on my desk right here. I got Concord right here, ready to go. This is what we saw. This is a surefire hit. Nothing's going to cause this to fail. Well, guess what? It failed. I own more copies of Concord than most people on earth. I own 2. As a meme, right? I got Dustborn right there. Dustborn was never going to be successful. But yes, toxic positivity, that is the culture inside the video game space. Someone has to come in ready to kick some ass. Maybe that's me. maybe that's our brand new consultancy firm we're launching soon. I don't know. I've been talking about that for 2 years now. I just don't think they would be open to it. I really don't. I don't think they'd be open to having tough conversations about it and realistically having listening to the consumer. I really don't think so. They think they know everything. They think they have it all ready to go. And when the games release, this is what you find. All right, I got a video for you. Once again, link down below to the Background NPCs channel and everything. Link right here for you to watch another video and subscribe right here. We'd love to see you tomorrow.